So my goal is to really make transformation accessible for you. I don't want you to look at me and think, oh, Brix was able to do that, but I'm not, because yes, you can, because I don't have anything that you don't have. I'm not special. If anything, we are all special. We all have access to transformation, and this video is going to make that more real for you. That's the goal. You can create the body, the life that you want. And you may be tired, you may be frustrated, you may be at the end of your rope. And at times you may feel hopeless, but you're one aha moment away from everything changing. And I need you to understand that deeply. All it takes is for one insight to connect, and then boom, everything's different. This is exactly how it happened for me. I'm gonna help you reach that moment, because that moment is pivotal. Weight loss transformation, transformation of your finances, transformation of your relationships, the transformations of your career. They all happen at the same time. I need you guys to understand that, and I'm gonna break down the principles. But all of these transformations, the version of your life that you are striving towards, it's one motion towards it all. It all happens at the same time if you internalize the concepts that I'm gonna teach you in this video. So you gotta understand this about transformation. Transformation is a natural, organic process. It is your God-given right to evolve and to transform and to create whatever life, body, financial situation, relationship that you want. It doesn't take as much effort as you think. The effort comes in us getting out of our own way. The butterfly doesn't have to hustle. He doesn't have to effort to try to turn from the caterpillar into the butterfly, right? All he has to do is what? Let nature do its thing. All you have to do is remove a lot of the mental, spiritual, and emotional blocks, and then you'll be able to access it. But it's a natural process. It's less of a push and it's more of a pull. You gotta allow yourself. You gotta create the environments, the mental environments, the spiritual environments, the physical environments that will create your cocoon. He is not able to transform into the butterfly if he doesn't have the right environment. The environment is what allows the intelligence of nature to help him to transform. Stop for a second and think about your environment. Are you in a cocoon that is allowing the nature of life to transform you? Think about your friend group. Think about how you spend your time. Are you being productive? Are you wallowing in negative thoughts all the time? Are you paying attention to that negative voice that's telling you all the things you can't do? In order for me to transform, I had to go into my cocoon. Now, this cocoon is gonna look different for every person. I absolutely separated myself from everyone. Now, I'm not suggesting you doing this, but that was the cocoon that was necessary for the level of transformation that I wanted for my life. The physical, mental, and spiritual transformation. So I prayed. I said, God, help me to transform. And he slowly started pulling layers of my life back, and things started to fall away. Certain friends started to fall away. Certain desires for certain interests and activities, it started to go away. I didn't want to go to the club Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday anymore. And it happened organically, but I had to pray. I had to pray for guidance. I had to pray for support. And God helped me create this cocoon that helped me transform. So that's the first thing. Transformation is organic. It's natural. You just have to get out of your own way. So transformation is also going to require you to update your mental software. Right? We're all running on a program. Your program is pretty much your attitudes, your beliefs, all the things you've been conditioned to think, feel, and do. That's essentially your mental program. Like your computer has an operating system. This operating system is responsible for how the computer functions or dysfunctions, right? Depending on that program. This can be a journaling practice. This can be just a intentional self-reflection, but sit and really assess what your operating system is. What is it creating? What is the life? What is the body? What is the relationships? What is the mental health that your operating system is creating for you? Assess that. Because you have to develop the awareness. You have to understand what's going on. If you want to make transformation, you have to see what needs to be transformed. And a lot of that stuff is hidden in our subconscious. It's not things that we necessarily notice all the time or super aware of, right? We have to intentionally put our attention on figuring out what's creeping in the shadows of our mind, in the shadows of our attitudes and our beliefs, because that is the stuff that is creating your reality. That is what creates your body. Your body is a combination of what you eat, what you drink, and most importantly, what you think. So for instance, what are your beliefs? What's that story that runs in your head constantly, right? Let's use weight loss, for example. Is the story that lives in your head about weight loss? Is it that weight loss is hard and it's something that I'll never be able to achieve? Is that the story that's running in your head, right? Because if that is the story that is running in your head, there's no diet or exercise program that will be able to compete with that story that lives in your head, because that story has more power over you than any diet or exercise will ever. Because that story is going to always bring you back to the body or the reality that the story created. the attitude, the thought patterns, the thought habits, that is always going to dominate what is true in your reality. So if you want to change your body, you have to change your story about transformation. You have to convince yourself that it is accessible to you. And until you change that story, you're gonna live on that loop. That loop you've been living for the last 5-10 years, you get excited, you get motivated, you try a new diet, you stick to it for 3 or 4 weeks, and then you crash, and then you gain more weight. Like that loop you've been on is because of the story that you have in your head about it. It's your attitude about it. And it's also your lack of patience, but we'll get into that in another video. I remember the day so clearly. It was December. I don't remember exactly what date it was. It was December 2012. I watched The Secret for the first time. I'm big into the law of attraction, but that's not what this is about. The Secret pretty much gave me the keys, right? It empowered me because it taught me that my reality, the debt that I was dealing with, the toxic relationships, the fact that I was overweight and obese, all of these issues that I had in my life, The Secret taught me is they were caused by the way that I think. They were caused by my attitudes. They were caused by my thought habits. And that was empowering because at first it stung like shit. I'm like, damn, you mean I created these fucked up situations in my life? But then it was like, okay, well, if the way that I currently think created this scenario, being fat, in debt, with toxic relationships, and a bad relationship with myself and terrible mental health, if my thoughts can create that, that means if I change the way I think, then all of these things will change. And that became the goal. And what the goal initially, yes, was to lose weight. But then when I realized that the reason why I was fat is because I think and I act and I believe and my attitudes were that of a fat person. So that means if I change my thoughts, my attitudes, my behavior to those of a fit, healthy person, then that means my body will follow. So I slowly, impatiently, and tenaciously started to change my mindset. And I did this by developing inner strength. Let me tell you, inner strength training is the key. I am making mindset transformation practical. I am working with my clients one-on-one with this. I am working with my online community as a group with this. We are on these Zoom calls and I'm breaking down the techniques, the strategies, the exact things that I did in order to transform the way that I think. I would be doing you dirty if I did not let you know about my free Fat Loss Guide 2.0. The link is in the description. You can download it for free right now. Not only do we provide support around exercise and nutrition, but once you lose the fat, we give you the techniques and the strategies that will help you maintain that fat loss forever. So click the link in the description. Be sure to check your spam folder and you're welcome in advance. Let's get back to the video. You have to develop the mental and emotional fortitude. You have to be aggressively accepting of where you are and give yourself grace and patience. But you also have to no longer tolerate the lower vibration version of yourself. You can no longer tolerate the version of yourself with the excuses, with the inconsistencies. You can't tolerate that version of yourself no more. You have to love yourself as you transition, yes. But you have to decide. Key word, you have to decide that that old version of you is no longer going to be allowed to run your life. And a new version of yourself has to emerge. And this new version has different attitude, has different mind habits. This version of you responds to life differently. This version of you responds and doesn't react. How you respond to life has everything to do with what your life looks and feels like. How you respond to stress, how you respond to urges, how you respond to negative thoughts will dictate how well you live. So you have to work that mental and emotional muscle that will give you the power over your response to the inevitable stress and resistance that life is going to throw at you. You have to work that muscle. And you do that with intentional practices that help you develop inner strength training. Inner strength training is the way. Now, the last point that I want to discuss when it comes to transformation of any sort, you have to be intentional. You have to be aggressive. You have to be consistent with self-reflection. You have to know yourself. And some of the inner strength exercises that I'm going to be teaching you guys on this channel, some of the inner strength exercises that I'm teaching my clients is the way that you learn how to install habits, daily habits that allow you to reflect on yourself regularly so you can increase your self-awareness. You have to know yourself. You have to know yourself. You think you know yourself, you don't know yourself. You don't know your emotions. You don't know the nature of your mind, the patterns. You have to learn this stuff on a deep level. So that way, when that negative voice pops in your head and it's telling you all these things that you can't do and it's giving you that old story, you can say, nah, we're gonna cancel that. We're not on that wave no more. That's not how we thinking. Because that way of thinking creates a life that brings in suffering. I don't want to fucking suffer anymore. I want to thrive. So I'm going to cancel that thought, because now you have the awareness. You see that pattern. It pops up every time this happens. Every time you talk to this person, or every time you dream this dream, or every time you set this goal, that negative voice activates. And that negative voice, you see that cycle. It happens all the time. So now when it happens, you're like, nah, we canceling that. I'm not going to let that negative thought exist in my head anymore. It's dead. It's a wrap. We are choosing thoughts that empower us now. We are choosing attitudes that empower us now. We're not letting our lower self run the show no more. It is now to transition the power from our lower self to our higher self. Now, that lower self is always going to be there. Let me tell you this. I'm 10 years into this evolution process, and my lower self is still there. But you know what? That motherfucker don't get no power over me. I feel him. I see him. I hear him. And I acknowledge him. Sometimes I even give him some love. But then I say, hey, you know what? You got 10 minutes to throw your tantrum, but then we're going to get back to the program. You feel me? And I do that constantly through my inner strength training. Understand this, that your transformation isn't about you. Stay with me here. This shit is not about you. You got to understand, your life impacts so many people. And I want you to walk into your transformation understanding that it's not about you. This is about inspiring that little kid that looks up to you in your neighborhood, your child, your wife, your husband, your mother, your father. This thing is bigger than you can even imagine. There's someone waiting for the inspiration that you will provide, because you were consistent, because you chose to transform your identity and to build the body of your dreams and build the life of your dreams and become a newer, improved version of yourself. There's someone waiting on you. There's someone who needs that inspiration. And remember that this is a process of small, consistent steps. Transformation is a slow process. It's a matter of gaining small wins consistently over time. So you want to buckle in. You want to be present for every step of this path. You want to be grateful for everything that you learn each and every day of this journey. As cliche as it sounds, that is the bag. That is the growth. That is the thing that makes you fulfilled. If you can snap your fingers and instantly become the version of yourself that you think you want to be, that would not fulfill you. You wouldn't be able to maintain that. Whatever it is that you want, you won't be able to maintain it. So the beauty is in the journey. I know you hear that shit all the time, but listen, the beauty is in the journey. All right, so to wrap this up, remember that transformation is natural, it's organic, it's your God-given right. Secondly, please remember daily, some sort of consistent self-reflection, whether that's a journaling session every day or every other day, whether that's just a period of time where you sit and you think and you reflect on yourself, on your day, on your week, on your month. Self-reflection is super key. And remember that this transformation journey is not for you or about you. This is about the people who you've been born to lead, to serve, and to inspire. All right? Leave the video a thumbs up. Let me know if you have any video suggestions in the comment section below. And remember, the body that you want and the life that you want is owned by a higher version of yourself. So evolve. Peace.